Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to Season 3 of the Ottercar AI Racing Series Clamshell Championship. Tonight here for round number 5 of the season for the Silver Lake 100 that originally was scheduled to be at the Dover Motor Speedway, but unfortunately with our little interdimensional rift incident, it's thrown our schedule off a bit, and there was just some conflicts with the owner of Dover Motor Speedway. So fortunately, just down the road, we found a raceway that was still under construction. I mean, you can see here, for the most part, it's pretty much done, but there's still some finishing touches they need to do before the track is ready to go for, the big name racing series. But with some bribery and some legal contracts signed, they allowed us to come out here to the track and race on it despite the unfinished state. So this is where we're going to be holding our stand-in for round number 5, still the Silver Lake 100. But it's going to be a little bit unorthodox, and I think it's going to be a very interesting challenge here for a lot of these drivers. Now, of course, coming into today's event, Garrett Hess continues to lead the point standings, just 8 points above Gafal the third. Then it's Toaster of the Void back in the 3rd position in the point standings, the first driver here that has gotten a win that is locked into the playoffs. Then back and forth, we have MF Beatus, who is only 2 points behind Toaster of the Void, and then Mint_777, who has been putting on a heck of a run here this season, all the way back in 5th now in the point standings after some unfortunate runs here in the last couple of races. Take a look down at the team point standings, though. Team Mopar for Garrett Hess is still the team points champion. Then the Clown College is back in 2nd, followed by the Riders of Locke in 3rd. Team Fuck Ash and Prince back in 4th, with Dale Them Art Incorporated rounding out the top 5 in the team points coming into tonight's event. That said, though, how about we take a look down at the starting grid and get things rolling underway for the Silver Lake 100. So, taking a look down here at our starting lineup for today's event, starting out on the pole here, going to be the number 89 Total War entry for Fendragon Motorsports. That is going to be Ash, followed by the number 98 Windows 98 machine of Clipit, who I believe is having their best start of the season so far here today. Back for row number 2 in the 3rd position, we have the 000 entry of Sarah, followed by Rally in the number 26 Silphco entry for Hybrid Development Team. Back for row number 3, we have the 13 machine of Toaster of the Void, with the unnumbered, but technically on our timing and scoring, 369 machine of Drop Table Roster starting to her outside. Back for row 4, we have the Food Corp 111 of Ash Amati, followed by the 777 Northrop Grumman entry of Mint_777 starting to his outside. How about back for row number 5 is going to be the 330 machine of Lake, one of the 32 characters or less drivers, followed by the Discover South Carolina 271 of Felix Marais starting her outside. Then back for row number 6, we have the number 22 entry of Cozy, one of the members of Paul Gang Bottom Text, followed by the Riot Games number 37 of Ashley Queen for the Blazed and Drunk drivers. Then back for row number 7, it's going to be the Save Our Seas Foundation number 7 machine of Frosty C, followed by the 0 Hybrid Development Team entry of Ame Sacramori. Then back for row number 8, we got the number 18 machine, last week's winner of Sam Houston, followed by the 88 VR chat entry of Ashley to his outside. Then for row 9, going to be none other than the 776 of Valnar, also one of the Blazed and Drunk drivers entries, followed by the Link Salvage number 8 machine, also one of the Fendragon Motorsports drivers. That's going to be Dirt starting to his outside. Back for row number 10 there, that's going to be the 621 entry of Deeg, followed by the Dickmaster number 99 New South Wales entry of Sarkin. How about back for the next row, it's going to be the 1 machine of Med, Sarkin's teammate there, also for the Dickmaster organization, followed by the 3 machine Piezo entry of Thirds. Then heading back even further, it's getting a little bit disorganized back here, but we should have the starting order mostly figured out correctly on the screen. Looks like for this row, it's going to be the 24 Tiger Conservation Campaign entry of Eclosy, followed by the Micro Center 666 entry of Zoe. Then going back further, we have the Dale Zemhart Incorporated entry of Dale Zemhart back there in that 33 machine, with the number 52 Impact Racing entry for Team Mopar. That's going to be Garrett Hess all the way back there. Further back, we got the 48 of Prince Kafame in the Crown Royal entry, followed by the 818 Cryptid Command entry of MF Beatus. Then heading back another row, that's going to be the final member of the Paul Game Bottom Text organization. That's the ASRC Racing number 93 machine of Bloody Wolf, followed by the number 14 machine for those Clown College drivers. Then heading back another row, getting towards the tail end of the field here, it's going to be the 21 machine of August, followed by the McDonald's entry of Madcap for the Blazing Drunk Drivers team. Then rounding out the tail end of the field here is going to be the Void Stranger number 12 Shelter for Strays entry of Pav. Gonna be 40 laps up here on the docket for today's event, so how about we get these drivers rolling and get the green flag up in the air for the Silver Lake 100. And just like that, we are now getting rolling here for the Silver Lake 100. Going to be Ash and Clippet leading the field to green here. As you can see, that little bit of chicane that they had to put in for us because the straightaways are not quite finished here. But the green flag is up in the air, and we are all rolling here. Downs into, technically, turns 1 and 2, if this were the correct oval. And Ash immediately starting to lose some positions here to the 26 of Rally, but hanging on the backstretch chicane here, going around those piles of dirt. I think I saw some machinery still working in there as well, some excavators getting those dirt piles moved around, but that's fine, no big deal. What's important is that we are still racing here. Head down now into the front straight chicane and coming across the start-finish line to complete lap number 1. And that first lap lead is going to be going to that number 98 machine of Clippet, who, along with Rally, has pulled away from the field here just a little bit. You can see how big that gap is here. And now heading down into the backstretch chicane. Lots of drivers still running in here 2 by 2. And I'll tell you what, these drivers are full sending here in the early goings of this one. That's a wide enough chicane that it really doesn't seem like we're braking all that much down into these corners here. And of course, then heading through 3 and 4 of the oval, and we come down here for the front stretch chicane, as again you can see down there, not quite done paving the raceway for us here, but it was nice enough to let them kind of make a roval put together here, as of course there was originally just going to be a dedicated road course out there that I think utilized as part of the infield. And of course, all this concrete here is temporary as well. Really, just last minute modifications to the raceway that they put in for us to allow us to hold this event here. Still, though, looking around the field, it's going to be the 98 of Clippet leading with the 26 of Rally as we head on down here into the chicane once again. A couple of drivers 2 by 2 and hard impact there for the, I believe that was the 37 machine, as we have more drivers sliding around back there. Trying to see who that was. That's the 776 of Valnar and the 21 of August. And the caution flag is out here. So, oh, looks like the 12 machine of Pav was also caught up in that incident, and he is going off the speedway here as he gets that car rolling again. But leading the field back to the race, back to the caution, it's going to be the number 98 of Clifford here. And that crosses the line in first place. He will control the restart coming back to the green. So taking a look back here, it looks like this incident was actually a little bit more severe than we first thought. We're looking down at the Clown College 14 machine here of Pickles You Think heading down into the front stretch chicane and just gets right hooked by August hard into the outside wall, collects Pav as well. And 2 whole flips for that college or Clown College number 14 machine. Almost rolls back on its wheels, but not quite able to, and that's going to be our first caution of the evening, bringing them back down to pit lane. Take another look down at this incident, this time looking down at the Void Stranger 12 machine of Pav, who unfortunately started at the tail end of this field. Really just an unfortunate bystander here of this incident. Not a whole lot he could do to avoid that. Fortunately, looks like he did not get anywhere near as much damage as Pickles you think did, but definitely not what that 12 machine wants to start the race off with, and definitely looks like with him going in the grass here might be a little bit of steering damage on that machine. Taking one last look back down here with Ashley Queen in the 37. This was the incident we saw live that didn't bring out the caution. Ashley Queen goes a little wide, gets into the outside wall, and then makes contact with her teammate there of Valnar, who, despite the drift, manages to save it and keep going. So both drivers in this incident between teammates still seem to be A-okay in the running of this race. So getting ready to go back racing here, still going to be Clip It and Rally as your two front runners. The 89 machine of Ash had to come down pit lane for some unexpected work on the car, and unfortunately that did put him a lap down, but otherwise all drivers seem to still be on the speedway on the lead lap here for the time being. Now heading down the front straight chicane once again, getting ready to go racing, and green flag back up in the air for the Silver Lake 100 here. Pretty evenly matched down into NASCAR 1 and 2, but it's going to be Clip It that has the slight advantage here over that 26 of Rally. It definitely seems like the inside line has a bit of a better run coming out of the corner like you would expect in a NASCAR style track, but then the driver on the outside line actually gets a bit of a better run into the chicane, and now the 26 of Rally is leading this race here over Clip It. And just like that, new race leader going to be the 26 of Rally coming across the line here. Clip It back in second. Drop table roster in the 369, still run back in third. Then we're battling 2x2 back here for fifth between Cozy up on the high side and Mint_777 down on the bottom. The 111 Food Corp entry of Ash back there as well as we head on down into the chicane. And of course, you see that 89 machine of Ash without an E to his outside. That driver not on the lead lap right now, so this is not a battle for position between these two Ashes. But coming down the front straight chicane, once again, it looks like we are keeping things under the green flag here for the most part. We'll see how we go coming across the start-finish line for those drivers back in the back, but it looks like everything is A-okay throughout the field. We are going to get some green flag running underway here at the Rascal Raceway. At least that's what it said on the legal documents we had to sign to let these drivers race in an active construction site, but it should be fine. You can see it there on the side of the track wall there, so it does look like that is the official name given to us. But definitely a little bit unorthodox, adding a couple extra turns here to a traditional NASCAR oval. 10 laps in the books, going to be 30 more to go here as we cross the line. Still the 26 of Rally leading the way with a almost, looks close to a 2-second lead here. Of course, crossing the line, it was only at a 1-second lead, but it has gained here, and definitely quite the margin of victory right now for that 26 machine. Of course, gotta consider the long-term runnings of this race. How will tires degrade? How will fuel look here in tonight's event? I'm not positive that the pit lane is done being constructed, so I almost hope that these drivers don't have to pit here tonight, but we will have to see. How about this battle here for 7th here between Frosty C and Mint_777 here, going back into NASCAR 1 and 2. Big run into the corner for Frosty C, but just can't keep that momentum up on the high side. Drifts back down to the bottom of the track, and once again heads on down into the backstretch chicane. I definitely feel like the front stretch chicane is a little bit safer here than the backstretch one is, but I mean, these drivers are making it work. We've only had one incident so far here in tonight's event, and it was on the safer looking of the two chicanes, so maybe I just don't know what I'm talking about here. But definitely good racing putting on here by these drivers. They seem pretty unfazed by the fact that we have added extra corners to their ovals. As I say that, we might have an incident back here. We do. There's a driver around. That's the 776 of Valnar. Caution flag out on the speedway for the second time here for the Silver Lake 100. Taking a look down here at the 776 of Valnar, running alongside his Blaisdon driver's teammate of Madcap going down in the front stretch chicane. This is the battle for the 26th position. Sends it in a little bit too deep, gets into the 52 of Garrett Hess, and then just drifts on up into the outside wall. Not all too unlike what we saw to bring out the first caution, but of course much less dramatic effects there. Valnar, pretty damaged, but I think he'll be able to keep it going here. So getting ready to come back to the green flag once again, and once again our front runner is going to be Rally. And why is the green flag already up in the air? We have passed the pace car, and we are running again. Apparently, they've already thrown the green flag. I'll tell you what, the contract we signed did say that race control may be run by unpaid intern teenagers that don't know anything about motorsports. The entire field has rushed past the pace car. And quite frankly, I am shocked that the pace car did not crash into anyone here. The pace car is still working, and immediately the caution lights are back on. The caution lights are back on. Looking around the field, it doesn't look like there's been any incident, so I believe this caution flag came back on due to the invalid restart. The entire field managed to jump the start there. And leading the field back to the start-finish line is going to be the 369 of Drop Table Roster, along with the number 18 machine of Sam Houston. So taking a look back here, it turns out I was mistaken. It looks like this caution is for the 26 of Rally. I believe what happened is our two front row drivers got a penalty for jumping the start. And somehow or another, Rally just missed pit entry. Just like that, totaled the car and had to take the tow truck to get back to their pit box. So that might be our race leader of Rally's race over, just like that, for a, dare I say, what we might call a skill issue here. Taking another ride on board with Rally here, and again, I just, somehow or another, they managed to misjudge the pit entry. I mean, that is a big incline there, but I don't really know how you managed to mess that up. But sure enough, Rally did, and looks like, unfortunately, that's going to be their race over with. Once again, line them back up for the restart here. Going to be Drop Table Roster and Sam Houston leading the field to green this time around. Rally still down on pit lane, so I do believe that they have totaled that number 26 machine, unfortunately. But otherwise, everyone else still out on the field, and everyone's still competing in their roughly usual positions. Ash in the 89 is still down a lap, but everyone else around the field on the lead lap and still running here, as this time we wait until the last possible second to take the green flag. In fact, I think we actually crossed the start-finish line before the flag man threw the green there, bunching up the field here. I don't think anyone is expecting for the green flag to come out that late, but we've got it rolling here, and this time it looks like we won't have any issues with penalties being handed out. Nobody jumped the start. Big move down to the inside. Sam Houston trying to make the move through the backstretch chicane, and it looks like he's going to be able to do it on the exit there. Leading the field over Drop Table Roster. Will we see him be able to hang on to it here? Coaster of the Void trying to make the move here as well, back in third in that 13 machine, but she is not quite able to do it either. Now starting to single file out here for our front runners, but we are still in a big cluster back here for about 6th or so. 330 of Lake up on the high side, battling it out with the 22 of Cozy, who is making their first appearance here in the top 5 in recent memory, battling out with some very strong drivers. I mean, that's the 777 entry of Mint_777. At least he was behind the 22 of Cozy, now not quite anymore. Now Cozy running back probably in about the 8th position or so. Then we have the Fendragon Motorsports driver of Dirt here, battling it out with the 0 of Ame Sakaramori. As we have a scrape against the outside wall there, that is Drop Table Roster making a little bit of a mistake. That's going to allow the 271 of Felix Marais to get all the way up into second, just like that. Now we have teammates running here back in probably 4th and 5th here, it looks like. The 369 of Drop Table Roster along with the 330 of Lake. Both drivers running for the 32 characters or less organization, as it looks like I just saw Clip It coming back out onto the raceway. He got his damage fixed, so that's all 3 drivers for the 32 characters or less organization back out on the raceway, as we have a battle for the race lead here. Toaster of the Void makes the move on the outside down the front stretch chicane. She is your new race leader. Sam Houston now in second with Felix Marais just behind here in third, leading over Drop Table Roster and Lake for your top 5. Back in 6th, though, still battling fiercely here with the 22 of Cozy. That is Mint_777, who was our championship points leader for such a long time coming into the early goings of this season. Had a bad run last week at the Richmond Raceway, now trying to make some points back here as he's running up inside the top 10. Battling out now with the 8, and that's the Fen Dragon Motorsports driver, the Link Salvage entry of Dirt here. It looks like they might have a little bit of damage here as they're keeping it way up on the high line. Went through the grass there a little bit. Definitely seems like the 8 machine might be a little bit off the pace here. Maybe not quite, though, because they're trying to make the move here on the 888 of Ashley down in the backstretch chicane. Not able to do so, but the effort is most certainly there, so maybe Dirt is not as down on power as once thought. To take a zoom out shot here, you can see how the field is spreading out just a little bit. Still good battles all the way back through the middle and the back of the pack, as we have a lap car up ahead in front of our race leaders. You can see the 13 machine. Oh, caution flag is out. What happened? Oh, we have carnage on the front straightaway. The 666 entry of Zoe is around. The 21 of August is around. Looks like that's all that was involved, but that's going to be caution flag on the speedway once again here. And again on the front stretch straightaway. But it's going to be Toaster of the Void leading the battle back to the start-finish line for this caution flag. So looking back here, we have 2 different incidents we need to break down. First is the one that actually brought out the caution flag between the 21 of August and the 666 entry of Zoe. Actually didn't make contact there with Madcap at all, just swerved to avoid the 38, expecting him to come further up the track than he did. Got into the outside wall, comes down, picks up Zoe, picks up the 000 of Sarah as well. Taking a ride on board here with the Micro Center 666 entry of Zoe, who is unfortunately once again just a bystander here in this incident. You see August go wide, get in the outside wall, and not a whole lot she could do there, and you can see that 000 of Sarah plowing in there as well. So that's going to be what brings out the caution flag, but we actually have one more incident that happened on the race back to the start-finish line as well. So we're taking a look down here at the second incident that happened after the yellow came out. Unfortunately, a bit of a repeat of what we've already seen here. The 111 of Ashimati just getting right hooked into the outside wall by the 621 of Deeg. Really just kind of unnecessary, though, and that is race-ending damage for the 111. That was a massive impact into a wall that doesn't have a safer barrier on it. So that might just be the end of Ashimati's run here tonight, which is really unfortunate to see because this driver has had terrible luck race after race after race, and that bad luck streak is going to continue here at the Rascal Raceway. So once again, we line them back up and try this thing one more time. This time around, it's going to be the 13 machine of Toaster of the Void with the 369 of Drop Table Roster starting her outside for the front row. And we also have the 666 entry of Zoe, who, as damaged as she is trying to stay in the race, has passed the pace car. I think technically she's trying to get her lap back. But being that damaged and starting right in front of the field, this is going to be a very sketchy restart. Green flag up in the air. We're going to try this thing here again as Zoe goes down in the infield grass, just trying to stay out of the way of our race leaders. And Toaster of the Void gets a good run down through NASCAR 1 and 2. Zoe keeping it down, still in the infield grass, trying to stay out of the way of our race leaders here. And it looks like so far so good, as Sam Houston's going to make the pass up into second. He was the winner in last week's race at Richmond, doing the last to first challenge. Didn't quite start in last this time around, but he's looking to try and be the first driver here in the series to take home 2 wins in a row here this season. Of course, Toaster of the Void is a winner here this season as well. She is also locked into the playoffs, so she is just trying to get some extra points to her name here as well, so she would also be a potential repeat winner. Up in second, though, that 369 of Drop Table Roster has not gotten a win yet this season for the 32 characters or less organization, so this could be a big deal for that driver if he manages to get around that 13 machine and take home a potential win. He has taken home the win here in the series before. I believe he won back in season number 2, I want to say. But so far, no luck here in Season 3 of the Clamshell Championship. It's a close battle between these two drivers, though, as they pull away from the field here. And still, you see that 666 entry of Zoe pacing around the track. She is determined not to bring it down to pit lane, apparently. And now coming up the raceway and grazing against the outside wall. So again, another driver struggling to figure out how to get down on pit lane. But we are still rolling. The officials are not going to call the caution for that, thankfully. So we're still able to keep the green flag up in the air. As we look down into this battle for third between Felix Moret and Sam Houston. But there's a battle for the race lead. Drop Table Roster tried to make the move on Toaster of the Void down the front stretch chicane. Not quite able to, but on the outside line, it seems like they've been able to carry momentum down into the backstretch chicane pretty darn well. We'll see if it works for them down here this time by. Not quite close enough to make it work, but you can see how much speed that unnumbered car is able to carry when taking the outside line through the NASCAR corners. Sure, you give up the spot in the short term, but then in the long term, really sets you up to try and make a big move. That said, Toaster of the Void starting to pull away here in that 13 machine, so how about we take a look further back in the field for these Ruthlers drivers battling it out inside the top 10. Felix Marley back in third, leading over Sam Houston, and then it's Mint_777, Lake, Ashley, Cozy here, all duking it out inside the top 10. We have the Fen Dragon Motorsports 8 machine here, as well as, again, Zoe seems to be struggling to get down onto pit lane in that 666 entry. I'm not sure if she... Okay, well, I don't know if that's a legal move. We're not going to question it, though. Green flag still up in the air. Going to be 10 to go as we cross the line here. And nearly contact there between Mint and Lake there. Lake having to go way up high to avoid, but fortunately not getting into the outside wall. Getting down the grass, she is going to lose a couple spots there. That's going to allow Cozy and Dirt and Ashley and MF Beatus to all get around her here. That might just be enough to bump her outside of the top 10. That said, she does make the spot back on MF Beatus here. Taking a little bit further of a look back in the field. How about back on 11th, back to 20th? We haven't managed to talk about those folks all that much. Currently back in 11th, that's the 621 of D, followed by the 33 of Dale Vemhart. Then we have IceyToo. Then we have the 89 of Ash, who unfortunately still is not on the lead lap. Then we have Clip It, Ame Sakuramori Sarkin here, all right outside the top 15. Bloody Wolf, thirds. Prince Kofame in the 48, all having a bit of a quiet evening here. Sarah all the way back in 19th, who started up kind of towards the front of the field as the caution flag is out once again. Not quite sure what it's for, but there's more damage on the hood of that 666 entry of Zoe. So that might just be what it's for. But up at the front, leading the field across the start-finish line, it's still going to be the 13 of Toaster of the Void. All right, line them back up once again. That caution flag was just for the 666 entry of Zoe being black flag, failing to listen to race control. She has finally been brought down to pit lane and is no longer being a menace on the racetrack. So they are getting damage fixed on that car. Not sure if she'll be back out on Speedway or not. But we shouldn't have any more disruptions here under the green flag, at least for the 666 car being monumentally off the pace and not being able to find pit lane. Green flag back up in the air once again. Drop Table Roster and Toaster of the Void leads your field to green. 2 by 2, all down into NASCAR 1 and 2. Toaster of the Void slightly pulling ahead here, but not quite a huge advantage there, as the entire rest of the field still keeping it pretty equally matched here with only 5 to go here. Looking down at the 777 entry, and how about we zoom this thing out here, get a bit of a wide angle shot here as you see the battle for the race lead. Toaster of the Void and Drop Table Roster still neck and neck, but he's going to make the pass. Toaster of the Void is no longer your race leader here. One driver that is a race winner here, or not a race winner yet here, leading the field over 2 drivers that have both taken home race wins. Toaster of the Void and Sam Houston both are locked into the playoffs. Drop Table Roster isn't quite yet, so this might just be his opportunity here with 5 laps left to go here at the Rascal Raceway. Our top three drivers all kind of pulling away from the rest of the field here as we take a further look back. Felix Marais back in fourth. Mint_777, and whoa, big move there by Cozy in the 22, getting around, I think that was 3 drivers at once in one corner. Monumental lunge down into the front stretch chicane. Now the 22 of Cozy is getting ready to pass that 13 machine of Toaster of the Void, potentially getting her way up inside the podium as we have a battle for the race lead here between Sam Houston and Drop Table Roster. Sam Houston sending it deep down to the inside. He's going to make the pass. Now Sam Houston, once again, your race leader with just 4 laps to go here at the Rascal Raceway. Sam Houston in second, Drop Table Roster in third, Cozy back and forth. Cozy sends it in too deep. She tries to make the pass again, and it doesn't work. The field gets stacked up, and oh, Drop Table Roster trying to do an unsafe rejoin, going to pick up the 38 of Madcap. Just like that, we are going to be going into overtime here at the Rascal Raceway, and what a heartbreaker. That was 2 potential race winners involved in that instant with only 3 laps left to go. Taking a look back here at the 22 of Cozy. She made an absolutely heroic move into the front chicane last time around. She tried to make the move happen again, but just sent it in too deep. Picked up the 369 of Drop Table Roster. Both of them got into the outside wall. Again, this was a battle for the 3rd position. That has just gone up in smoke for these 3 drivers. Also picking up the 38 of Madcap, but he was all the way back outside of the top 25, so not quite disastrous for that 38 driver, but what a heartbreaker for 2 prospective race winners. Riding on board here with Toaster of the Void back in 3rd as you see the battle for the race lead unfolding in front of her. Drop Table Roster on the inside, Sam Houston on the outside, and just here comes Cozy trying to make a monumental move happen, and it just did not work. And just like that, so that's going to allow Drop Table Roster and, or no, excuse me, Sam Houston and Toaster of the Void to be your 2 frontrunners once again. So once again, we find ourselves in overtime here in the Clamshell Championship. You know the rules by this point because we've had overtime after overtime after overtime. We'll go green. We get 2 laps to the finish. If we complete the first lap, then the race will end at the end of the second lap, no matter what happens. If we don't complete the first lap, we'll go under caution, we'll add more laps, and we'll try it again. It's going to be Sam Houston and Toaster of the Void leading the field to green. Both drivers here have taken home wins before in the Clamshell Championship. Felix Marais and Ashley, the second row back behind them. Neither of those drivers have taken home wins yet here this season. Green flag back in the air. It's overtime here at the Rascal Raceway. Sam Houston down the inside, Toaster of the Void on the outside. That's generally the preferred line down there for Sam Houston, but we'll see if that 13 machine can't make any moves here through the chicanes. She has the momentum. Sam Houston goes up the block, but not quite able to. This time, yes, he is. Side by side between Sam Houston and Toaster of the Void as she makes the move on the outside. That could be the move that decides this race here. Coming across the start-finish line just about, and Sam Houston way off the pace there in that 18 machine. Contact with the 271 of Felix Marais. White flag is up in the air, though. No matter what happens, the next flag will end the race, and Toaster of the Void has pulled it up to a 1.1 second lead over the rest of the field. It is a hornet's nest back here for the second position, though, as everyone jockeys to try and get up on the podium, and the more they compete with each other, the more they're giving the advantage to Toaster of the Void. Heading down in the NASCAR 3 and 4 with a massive lead here, probably upwards of 2, maybe even 3 seconds here. Looking so far so good. As long as she doesn't make a mistake here through the chicane, she is good to go. Toaster of the Void takes the checkered flag. She's going to be the first repeat winner here in the Ottercar AI Racing Series Clamshell Championship, at least for season number 3. So as the drivers bring it back down to pit lane and get loaded back up down on their haulers, we can take a look down at our race results as they stand here this evening. Toaster of the Void going to be the winner here of the Silver Lake 100, the first repeat driver to win here in Season 3 of the Clamshell Championship. She's already locked into the playoffs, but that will give her even more of a points cushion to work with when the playoffs begin here in just a couple of weeks. How about back in second, though? Sam Houston, followed by the 271 of Felix Marais, rounding out your podium here this evening. That's going to be IceyToo all the way back in fourth, with Dirt in the Fendragon Motorsports number 8, rounding out the top 5. Back in sixth, we have the 777 entry of Mint_777, followed by the 88 machine of Ashley back in seventh, with the 330 of Lake back in ninth, the 99 of Sarkin, who had a very quiet evening, but a very solid one there at that, coming back in ninth. That's going to be Prince Kilfame, rounding out the top 10 here. Back in 11th, we have the 33 of Dale Themhart, followed by the 0 machine of Ame Sakramori. That's going to be the 621 entry of Deeg back in 13th, with Bloody Wolf in the 93 machine back in 14th. Then how about MF Beatus in the 818 machine back in 15th. 16th going to go to the 3 machine of Thirds, followed by the 7 of Frosty C back in 17th. The 1 of Med will be coming back in 18th, with the 000 entry of Sarah back in 19th. And championship points leader coming into tonight's event, Garrett Hess, going to be running all the way back in the 20th position here tonight. Back in 21st, that's going to be the 776 of Valnar, followed by the 369 machine of Drop Table Roster that was taken out in that heartbreaker right before the overtime. He's going to be bringing it all the way back home in 22nd. Back in 23rd, being stuck one lap down, he had speed all night, but just had that unfortunate situation down on pit lane right at the start of the race. That's going to be the 89 of Ash coming home back in 23rd. Then back in 24th, it's going to be the 98 machine of Clip It, with Madcap rounding out the 25th position. Back in 26th, that's going to be the 22 machine of Cozy, who is having the best run she's had so far here this season, before maybe sending it a little bit too deep there on the final couple of laps. She's going to be bringing it home back in 26th. Then back in 27th, it's going to be the menace herself, the 666 entry of Zoe, who had all of those issues putzing around the track off the pace here this evening. Then back in 28th, it's the 111 of Ash Amadi, followed by the 21 of August back in 29th, with Ashley Queen rounding out the 30th position here this evening. Back in 31st, excuse me, that's going to be one of your front runners. That's going to be Rally all the way back there in 31st, followed by the 12 machine of Pav in 32nd, with Pickles You Think in the number 14 machine rounding out the tail end of the field here this evening. That said, that's just about all we've got here from the Rascal Raceway for the Silver Lake 100. Thank you all for tuning in here this evening. And I look forward to seeing y'all in just a couple of weeks for our final round of competition before the playoffs begin. It's bound to be a hectic one. Thank you all for tuning in, race fans, and I look forward to seeing y'all next time.